Chill. This is our gateway tape era. And by the time this episode comes out, I'm going to be fucking visiting all of y'all in my astral
Walking
form.
through the side of your bedroom doors. Our journey today is into astral projection.
You really just zoned out there. You disappeared. Like, I'm going to take this 20 seconds to leave.
Gateway tapes. I don't need them. Maybe I'd be actually great at them right now. 3, 2, 1, snap. Just because my mind has so much blankness.
Yeah. You just got a taste of how we started our episodes. A taste of nothing. A taste of emptiness.
How do you like that flavor? This is 2 Girls, 1 Ghost.
2 Girls, 1 Ghost. And we are your ghostesses. That is Corinne.
Hello.
And I'm Sabrina. And I have a story. My own personal.
Yes.
Okay,
ghost story. You texted me.
This is an encounters episode, and we read your stories, and we've been very much into the gateway tapes and altered states and all of this stuff, and realizing we know nothing. I mean, we've known nothing for so long. But in a way to celebrate the gateway tapes, we chose to do a topic called astral projection. I feel like they are very tangentially tied to one another, related to one another. And was that your stomach?
Yeah.
Excuse you. Sven has entered the room.
I've been up since
4.
4.
Yeah.
So it's lunchtime for my stomach.
It is, yes. So if you hear a ghost.
This might just keep happening.
No, you didn't. So I have experienced astral projection myself. Accidentally. And I feel like a lot of my paranormal encounters do happen in a dream state.
Yes.
So I had something that I wouldn't call paranormal necessarily, but it's witchy and woo-woo. I guess it is paranormal. It falls under paranormal.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've talked about this specifically, like kind of briefly in the podcast, and then I've opened up more about it on our Patreon. But like, I have a weird relationship with my dad, and we recently, like, at the end of last year, like, basically didn't talk for 6 months. And then I recently had, like, a couple months ago, like, we had like a very nice, mature conversation. Difficult, but like nice conversation. So we're back to talking. I hate talking about myself. I became so conscious of myself.
I can see it happening right now.
I need a second. Can I disappear? Okay. But I also, in this experience, realized I never dream about my family, like, ever. I just don't.
That's really fascinating.
Yeah. I feel like I dream about you a lot.
I was just going to say, I feel like I wonder if it's more of like a connected souls type of thing. Because usually when I dream about my family, I dream about my mom. Like, she's the one in Wrinkles.
Yeah.
And those are, sorry, Christian and Father Bill. But those are the 2 in my family that we have memories and feelings of being in other lives together.
Right. Yeah. It is
interesting. I wonder if maybe you're not to like make this sound insulting to your present family, but they're your temporary for this lifetime.
Okay, well, here's what I'm gathering from this experience. I think I don't dream about them because dreaming about them is reserved for maybe messages.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah.
So all that to say, this was like 2 weeks ago. I dreamt about my dad and Nona, his wife. And in this dream, it's not like the most, wow, why did you remember this dream? But it was so weird that I dreamt about them. And in this dream, my dad and Nona and I were like staying at a hotel, but then my dad didn't like the hotel. And I kept seeing him kind of talking to Nona, and they were trying to like decide what to do. And I was like, well, then let's just go do this and stay at this different hotel. So again, the dream itself is not that great or interesting. But I remember the next day when I woke up, I was like, that is really weird that I dreamt about my dad and Nona. Like, I never dream about my dad. I like just don't. My first thought was I should just text him, make sure he's okay. And later that day, I got a DM from Nona on Instagram saying, I'm so excited to see you in August. And I was like, what's in August? And then the next day, I got a text from my dad saying, hey, we're going to be in the States. And I was thinking it'd be really nice to come spend a week with you around your birthday and stay in Marblehead with you. And I was like, yeah, of course, like you can come. So here's what I'm gathering. It sounds so confusing, but I think I had that dream about my dad and Nona and traveling with them when they were talking about coming to visit me.
It also makes sense because the like time zone difference.
Yeah.
Because they live in Europe.
Right. So when I was sleeping, they were awake. And so then I think Nona probably thought my dad immediately texted me.
I know. I love how she's the first person.
Yeah. I was like, what's in August? Which then when I said what's in August, she probably was like, why haven't you told Sabrina yet? And then my dad texted me the next morning. So I dreamt something. I just basically like, I knew that they were talking about me and us.
Well, and you dreamt it because it pertains to you.
Yeah.
That's
and
really
like the dream was about me being with them, you know?
Right.
So it's like the dream was giving me context clues, but was in a dreamscape.
Oh my gosh.
It's so weird talking about dreams and how it's all woo-woo, but I was like,
no, I believe it.
Especially because I never dream about my dad.
Well, because I told you when my mom had dreamt that me and my like 7th grade boyfriend were breaking up.
Right.
But it was like from his room, like she was watching like him receive the phone call.
So
and
weird.
Then the next morning she told me all about it and everything that was said and what he said. And she was like, oh, it was so sad. And I was like, that's creepy because that's exactly what went down. But she was watching it like from his view. And so it felt like just a weird dream.
Right.
Weird.
Yeah. So
tapping in. Psychic Sabrina.
But then I also think it just, my dad and I's relationship, I feel like is one of my biggest lessons in this life. And makes me think that I'm very connected to him in some way.
Yeah.
Because I also had that experience when I dreamt about my grandfather, like 6 years after he had passed away. Again, hadn't like thought of him or anything. I had a dream and it was very interactive, like talking about life, catching up. And my dad the next day is like, did you dream about Pop-Up? He told me he was going to visit you.
It is hard because part of me is like, I know that there has been such obviously like a difficult road with you guys. And so part of me is like, oh, I don't want to think that like you guys have many lives together. Like I want you to have like an easy breezy, beautiful
maybe
cover girl life.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it does kind of beg the question of like when there are reincarnated souls, sometimes you're not just like best friends in every life. Like you're also there butting heads, challenging one another.
Well, and also it doesn't necessarily mean that it's traveling souls, but maybe like our souls in this life had to be together to learn certain lessons. Like I believe I'm teaching him lessons.
Yeah.
The same way he's teaching me lessons.
Is he receiving them?
That's not my journey.
Our journey today is into astral projection. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun.
Do you want to start?
Yes, I do. I almost was like, I just talked, but I have 3. This is a very, very short one and is about the Gateway Tapes.
We'll never get over the Gateway Tapes.
Or
this year is
it
themed
mentions
Gateway and Appalachia.
It really is. Those are our...
Yeah.
That's the era we're in. Okay, so this is called I Accidentally Astral Projected to a Different Timeline and Met My Unborn Brother.
Whoa.
Hello, dear ghostesses. I'm Anna, she, her, and I am happy for you to use my name. This is not my first time I am writing you, and I doubt it will be my last because I am addicted to your podcast and to your vibes. It is so comforting to finally have found such an understanding community and a safe place to share our paranormal weirdness. In my 3.5 decades, I have had it all. Experiences with human and non-human spirits, ancestors paying a visit while I'm awake or asleep, sleep paralysis, predicting events, astral projection, and listening to your most recent episode with Jake made me want to write this specific story and share it with you. So yes, you have read the title right. I accidentally astral projected to a different timeline and met my unborn brother. But before getting into details, I do need to advise some content warning is necessary because it is mentioning of miscarriage. First, for some family context. My parents married very young, and I was born 7 years into their marriage, and they only ever wanted a single child. But let's say I always knew that this wouldn't be the case. Because from the moment I was able to use a pen or pencil around 2 or 3 years old, I started drawing my mother pregnant. Weird, right? And I didn't even understand how babies were made, and yet there I was drawing my mother with a baby in her belly. specifically a baby girl. It got to the point where my kindergarten teacher congratulated my parents on the new baby, which for my mother was very awkward because she had to explain that she was not expecting another child.
And also I'd be like, is it my belly? Like, do you just see my belly? It's a pregnant belly.
Growing up, I also fantasized about having a big brother, but it seemed like that ship had sailed. So instead, I put all of my hopes into having a baby sister. I was so specific. I mentioned it frequently to my family, not only to my parents, and I would dream of my baby sister often. By the time I was 12 years old, my hopes had faded. Until one day, my parents sat me down and very seriously told me that there had been an accident and that my mother was pregnant.
Way to declare the child as an accident. Oopsie. And oopsie babies happen.
At 12 years old, I was over the moon, of course, laughing and screaming. And there stood my parents, baffled, thinking it was way too late for a sibling and that they needed to excuse themselves for a bursted condom. I told them right then and there, when they told me they were pregnant, that there is going to be a baby girl, even though it was too soon for even them to tell the gender. 9 months later, sure enough, my baby sister was born. It was pretty much one of the happiest days of my life, and I cherish the memory of first seeing her and holding her in my arms. Oh, this is so beautiful, and it reminds me of watching Noemi and Delphina grow up, and the way that Delphina just idolizes Noemi and smiles at her and like stares at her, and she is like, I feel like she's going to learn to walk sooner because she's so...
She wants to be like Noemi.
She's like doing crunches watching Noemi, and it makes me...
Trying so hard to get up and move with her.
Right, and then it makes me think about when I was... Because I'm 2 years younger than my sister, like I probably was the same, and I idolized her growing up. I truly just wanted to be her best friend, but I don't remember that. So watching it is kind of this beautiful thing. So still in the back of my mind, I kept thinking how good it would have been to share all of this with an older brother. One day, I ended up mentioning it to my mother, and tears filled her eyes when she admitted that she had actually been pregnant before I was born. My parents were expecting a baby boy 2 years prior to when I was born.
Wow.
Sadly, my mother had miscarried in the later months of pregnancy, and my brother died in the womb. It shook me to my core because I realized all along I had been right. Not only was I helping to raise the baby sister I always knew I would meet, but I did, after all, have an older brother. But this isn't even the weird bit of my story. So after confirming that I should have had another brother, I obsessed over him. I wanted to communicate with him, and I wanted for the three of us all to be together. I started to learn more about the paranormal and the spirit world, but I never got answers and never found his spirit until one night I accidentally astral projected to a different timeline. So at this time, I had been suffering from sleep paralysis, and I had gotten very good at distinguishing dreams from reality. And I can assure you that what happened this night was not a dream. I didn't know what was happening at first, but I found myself in the back of a car. There were two beings or entities on the front seats. I can't actually describe them with detail, but I remember they were a mix of shadow figures and light beings, sort of misty, cloudy things. I couldn't see their features, but I was not scared. So I'm speculating that they were two of my spirit guides. I didn't question where they were taking me. I knew I was safe. And so I sat comfortably in the back seat. Like, you know, the road trip will be long. We drove for what felt like a full day through dense forest, up a hill. I never felt hungry, never felt like we needed to stop, and I kept dozing in and out. When we got to the end of the road, I was swallowed by darkness. I was no longer in this car with the two beings. They were nowhere to be seen, and I was standing in silence, and I could only identify a light at the end of what seemed to be a tunnel. To be honest, I was more curious than scared, so slowly I walked towards it. At the end of the tunnel, I was surprised to find my bedroom. Awkwardly, I was not entering it through the bedroom door, but rather through the side wall, and I noticed there were some things off. Like books were on the wrong shelves, or there were different books that were on the shelves, and the posters were different than the ones that I had in my room. And the room was slightly differently arranged. And then I looked at the person laying on my bed, and it was a boy, a bit older than me. He was just lying there sound asleep. It should have been early morning because there was enough light in the room for me to see his features. I didn't recognize him straight away, but then it hit me, this strange and absolute certainty. This is my brother. I let out a mix of a cry and a laugh, and stretched my arms in his direction. But even though I was close to him, it felt like we were miles apart, almost as if the air between us was solid, like a barrier between us. It happened all very quickly. He suddenly woke up, sat up, looked straight at me, and I could see I scared him. Before I could try to explain myself, something pulled me back, like I was falling backwards so fast, and then boom, I was awake, in my bed. The very same one I had seen when I astral projected, but this time it was me in the bed, and I was alone, and my room was back to how I had left it. My body was stiff, as if I had been sleeping for days. It was painful to move. My head was fuzzy. It took me a moment. But again, I knew and I felt in my bones that I had just astral traveled to a dimension where my brother was born and I wasn't. I shut myself down.
This whole time I was thinking she also got to live.
Mm-mm.
It was just him.
I'm so curious what he in this other timeline experienced and saw
Right.
and thought. Does he think in that timeline, is he so obsessed with the younger sister?
Yeah, drawing photos of his mom
Yeah.
getting pregnant.
I shut myself down after that experience and I cried alone in my room, not being able to verbalize what had happened. I honestly thought if I told my parents, they would have buried me in a psychiatric hospital. The time passed and slowly I made peace with it all. I often expressed gratitude to the universe for my brother and for having the chance of him being alive somewhere in another timeline. And also for my own life as well. I thanked my spirit guides for having given me the opportunity to see him and understand that he is okay, even though it seems we cannot coexist in this timeline. This story isn't over yet, my dearests. A couple of years later, I got a surprise. I was alone in my room getting ready for prom. The important thing is, I was alone, running between my bedroom and the bathroom, getting the final touches right before my friends came over to give me a ride to prom. I was very focused, trying to be sure I'd be looking great on that very important evening, and suddenly, I saw him. My brother. He was in the hallway, right in front of me, his arms and smile wide open, ready to embrace me. I almost heard him say something funny and sweet to reassure me, but as suddenly as he appeared, he disappeared, as quick as it had happened years prior when I visited him. Oh my God.
Oh, what? This is so trippy.
Needless to say, I fell to my knees and bawled my eyes out, arms holding tight across my chest as if I was finally holding my brother. I guess that after I visited him, maybe he got the pieces of the puzzle and came to find me. Maybe we share similar spirit guides and they helped him as they had helped me to go see him. I thought I would see him again, but now it's been almost 20 years and nothing has happened. I've kept a special attention on big family events, birthdays, funerals, my wedding day, but I have not gotten that connection with him again. I tried to get on that road uphill with the forest while astral projecting, but I've never gotten back to him. Anyway, I kept myself lucky to have met him twice and, of course, to have helped raise my/our baby sister, the baby that I had prophesized. I'm so proud of her. She's the light of my life. I told her all about these experiences only a couple of years ago. And of course, not only does she believe me, she is certain that the three of us will reunite on the other side. I like to think she's right. I hope you found this story at least a little bit heartwarming.
I have chills all over my body.
Thank
again.
you for
this
everything
whole day.
you do.
I'm just like chills.
See you on the other side, Anna.
Wow. I can't believe it's not even like she was dreaming when she saw him. She was getting ready for prom.
Well, and then he also was awake.
Yeah,
I mean, he woke up in his bed, which he could probably be like, was I just dreaming?
Yeah, or like I saw a ghost. Yeah, sort of thing. But because it happened for her, oh my God. This is just, I'm trying to picture it and I'm flabbergasted.
Well, it does remind me of Gateway Tapes. And I feel like this is our Gateway Tape era.
This is. Dang! Wow, so cool.
Yeah. I feel like it's very hard to feel 100% these days.
Yeah, so we need a little help from our friends.
And thank goodness we have friends at Cymbiotika because it is my favorite way to take my supplements. I love their vitamin C packets.
Yes. I was putting them in my drinks, but then you told me that you just squeeze the patches right into your mouth, so I've started doing that now too. Now I'm a squeezer.
You're a squeezer. What are you? How do you take your Cymbiotika supplements? They have so many different amazing supplements. This one that we have right here is the Shilajit liquid complex that truly tastes like yummy chocolate goodness. It's hazelnut cocoa flavored. It's great for sustained energy, muscle recovery, and brain health, which I need all of those. It just makes taking your supplements so much easier and convenient, and also they taste good, which is the best part.
Go to Cymbiotika.com/TGOG for 20% off plus free shipping. That's Cymbiotika.com/TGOG for 20% off plus free shipping. I have a story called Levitating in Bed. So, spoiler alert. Hello, spooky pen pals.
Hey.
It's been many moons since I last emailed you. I've gotten married. I've had a family since our last encounter,
Congrats.
which you read in Encounters 83,
where
I talked about my night terrors.
So long ago.
I'd like to talk about something that has happened to me around the time of my last email. When we last spoke, I just split with my partner and I moved to a new city. But during one of my last nights at my ex's place, I had a very strange experience. In the middle of the night, we were both sound asleep in bed. I woke up to the hallway light on. I've always slept with the door closed, and ever since I watched The Poltergeist as a child, the sight of a bright light shining through a closed-door bedroom or a closet door is just absolutely chilling to me.
Yeah. Sweet.
But in this particular instance, I felt the terrifying sensation of sleep paralysis for the first time.
So doubly terrifying. Light and sleep paralysis. Yikes.
As I lie awake-ish, unable to move, I felt someone's hands slip under the left side of me, lifted me into the air about 4 inches, pushed me into my partner, and then gently lowered me down and stopped. I don't remember having my eyes open as this happened or seeing anything around me save the slice of light coming in from the hallway. My partner often woke earlier than me for work, and some mornings when they didn't work, they would scoot me to the center of the bed so that they could sit on the edge and play video games. This night, the movement felt too smooth, too careful, too floaty. Plus, the most alarming part, I was being squashed into my partner anyway. So when I woke in the morning, the whole thing just felt like a dream, and I chalked it up to being just that. I must have slept hard and had vivid dreams like I usually do. My partner was already at work, and I woke up on my own side of the bed. I went about the day, but that evening, when we both came home, I told them about my wild dream, and they responded, "Oh, is that why you were smashed into me this morning?" I didn't have any room in the bed. Their response sent chills down my spine. "Shut up. Do not mess with me," I said, but they were not joking. Maybe it was the ghost of one of their relatives trying to salvage our relationship, but I'll never really know what it was that gently pushed me across the bed. This is one of my most eerie moments in my life, and I have never forgotten it. But now I have an adorable little family. I live in Savannah, Georgia, and I have many more spooky sherries. Spooky sherries
to tour you.
Many more spooky stories to share with you. See you on the other side. Whiskey.
Well,
It
also
is weird because it's like with a sleep paralysis, you think of it being like an astral body thing where they're being lifted.
Yeah.
Or like that's also kind of like part of the feelings being like lifted.
Right.
Or like falling when you're going through astral projection. But the fact that Whiskey's body was fully pressed against.
I know. This is why I'm like, okay, I have so many thoughts running through my head. One, it's wild to me that this story is being read 206 encounters later. Like, that's crazy. We've done 206 more encounters.
Yeah, that is wild.
The last time.
And see all that can happen. Whiskey escaped a bad relationship, has a sweet little cute family.
Yeah.
Loving partner, wonderful life in Savannah, Georgia. Things can change.
Things can change. You never know what's coming for you. But this also reminds me of a story we read early days of the podcast where the listener felt themselves like almost trapped, but they realized that they were actually up at the ceiling.
Oh my God. Yes.
That we've reread that story multiple times because it's really, really stuck with us.
From the UK, I think.
Yeah. And then the neighbor like heard the thumping on the ceiling, which confirmed that they were up.
Yeah. So the gist of the story was this guy was sleeping in bed, woke up, everything was like black around him. He felt above him and felt like this texture and felt like he was in a coffin, and he freaked out and started banging on what was above him because he felt like he was like buried alive or like in a coffin and eventually fell asleep again. His boyfriend didn't hear anything, who was sleeping right next to him in bed. So he chalked it all up to a dream. The next morning, the neighbor comes downstairs to check on him and is like, "Are you okay? I kept hearing you banging on the ceiling last night." And he like looks up at the ceiling, and the texture that he remembers feeling is the like swirling texture of his apartment ceiling.
Well, it makes me think that Whiskey was being like lifted, and because I've been doing the Gateway tapes, it's like, is there this helping hand help astral project? But then alternatively, is it this residual haunting that her partner does pick her up and put her into the middle of the bed sometimes? That was being repeated. But then it's like, is there this like timeline glitch that happened?
It's weird. Or was someone else sleeping in bed too and had to move Whiskey into the center?
A little sandwich, a whiskey sandwich.
A whiskey sandwich. The sleep paralysis part is weird because like typically sleep paralysis that often includes some sort of like your astral state being
Well, sleep paralysis
attacked.
is just confusing generally. Like, is there a connection to astral projection? Is there, we don't know. Gosh. Well, Whiskey, you levitated. That's pretty cool. And a ghost helped you do it. Okay. I picked some good stories, like happy ones. This is from our listener, Cyril, and it is called I Met My Soulmate in the Astral Plane. Love these stories. This is about a 10-minute read. Because it is slow to start, here is a teaser. He, him are my pronouns. My name is Cyril, and you're welcome to use it. It won't be Pride Month if/when you read this. This was sent last year.
Yes, it is.
And it is Pride Month.
Happy Pride Month, guys.
I meant to wear my tank top that has little rainbows on your nips today, and I realized it when I got here that I forgot to put it on. So imagine my nipples being covered by rainbows right now.
We are your allies.
We are. So, okay. My queer astral connection stories deserve to be told. Yes, they do. Okay. I'm a witch and metaphysical practitioner. That's the first time I've said it and written it down, but the events that I am getting into have proved it to the point that it would be more absurd to deny it than anything. Okay, so I'd like to say up top that psychedelic medicine is part of my spiritual and astral life along with lucid dreaming. I understand if you avoid substance-related stories, but I do feel like they're a very real part of many cultures and religions, and we can't hand-wave everything away because these traditions span thousands of years.
We did a whole episode on ayahuasca.
Yes. So mushrooms are an entity in themselves. Many of us take them more seriously than my Catholic family takes the sacrament. If anyone is interested, they can start researching with Maria Sabina and how westernizing these practices has warped them. Trance state meditation and near-death experiences can bring people to the exact same metaphysical place. Once you've experienced it and spoken with others about it, there is no doubt that there is a deeper, all-connected world. Everything and nothing simultaneously. We are ordinarily unable to access it, but many have touched it. This connection spans across time and space, across infinite universes, and I believe world faiths all touch on the same core. It is more real to me than the keys under my fingers right now, and it is why I decided to keep living. It would be an insult to all to cut off my unique facet. Agreed. It's also the reason I realize I'm not aromantic, which is a term similar to asexual, but refers to not experiencing romantic attraction. I am certain that there is a person who requires me for his growth path, who will in turn change me. And I am certain we have connected before we have even physically crossed paths. I have a mental image of nearly parallel lines traveling through time and space, destined to meet when time comes, like string theory, entangled even though our trajectory hasn't yet touched. And I remember meeting him, in quotes, vividly. For context, I was an atheist all of my life until I experienced the meeting place, which I'm now certain that even more modern ideas of reincarnation don't go far enough. Are we individual souls incarnating over and over again separately, or are we one, the universal consciousness experiencing itself? Which we had this conversation when we did our Patreon episode on the Gateway Tapes wearing the same outfits. We just recorded it before this.
Also, the meeting place, what are you talking about? Because now
it's like the hill.
I was going to say exactly what comes to mind, the hill from the telepathy tapes.
Right. Which then makes me think of Gateway Tapes. Like I feel like we're all tapping into the same thing.
It's all the same thing. We all have different names for it, but it's there.
Crazy. Okay, so I'm going to stop myself and I'll get into the juicy part of the story. I know deeper than I've known anything that my soul is connected to this person who I will meet in the future. I'm also curious, this was a year ago. Have you met them? I'm not impatient because I need to be a future version of myself for it to take place. I am instead just newly passionate about living, improving, and growing into him. It's been a slow building sensation, one that deepens when I do partake in healing ritual mushroom use, but also takes place outside of it. Besides this first meeting, the sober lucid dreams are what I find the most meaningful. I have discovered my body and soul again after pure survival for years on end. It was terrifying, lonely, and necessary. Discovering that I was never alone because I am one small figment of this all-encompassing beingness has helped me. But the thing that is propelling me forward is meeting him one day. You have to share this email with him when you meet him.
I know.
So I was meditating after doing calisthenics and using a very, very small amount of mushrooms. I felt myself leave my body, even as part of me was more in it than I'd ever been. This duality of experiencing both at the same time, of leaving my body and being more in my body than ever, was very confusing. But I was sure I was truly present in this new space. I haven't felt that even on much higher doses or while meditating. Everything was blank, white, but not white at all. But something so vast my ape brain couldn't hold on to it for more than an instant. It was pure infinitude. And there he was. I saw him. And I knew my seeing was representing something I also couldn't comprehend. He was kneeling down with his back to me, and I felt a gaping, extremely violent wound seeping through his being. It was terrifyingly disturbing, horror movie level gory to me, but also beautiful, like an oil slick or iridescence, yet light. There was a hole blown out through his chest where his heart should be. The beauty hurt me, but in a way, I had to look at it. There was no blood, but, and I'm a dude who loves horror movies, it unsettled me more than I've ever felt unsettled. I felt this violence, the violence of the pain that had torn through his being, yet I could see that he was beginning to heal. He was still kneeling as I was processing this. And still is a weird word because there wasn't time or place, but I knew with certainty I was meant to kneel behind him, my heart pressed over the blown out wound in his body. I embraced him and felt a warmth and presence emanate. I didn't know that I even had this inside of me. The visual was golden light radiating from my heart into the wound through his chest. This terrifying spiritual viscera was iridescent light, so strikingly beautiful, and I felt a golden, solid presence from my heart begin to flow, healing him and holding him. I've never experienced unconditional love like I have in that moment.
It's so wild because they're saying that they are experiencing unconditional love, but it also feels like they're giving unconditional love to a whole blown out of a chest, like being the heart, bringing the shared heart.
Well, this reminds me of the Gateway tapes and when Robert Monroe was seeing that one woman and he just knew he had to give love and all like radiate love out from him. And it's like love gives birth to more love.
Yeah.
If you love so hard and deeply, you're giving yourself love. Love is powerful.
It is.
Okay, so...
And again, this is Pride Month, so how appropriate.
How appropriate. Cyril says, in the moment, I'm thinking maybe he's me, and I'm subconsciously processing my own trauma and learning to love myself. But no, there was this presence of another, and it's something I've never felt before. Even with real-life people I love and care for, this I knew was another being. Since then, I've had many sober lucid dreams. Most are purely subconscious processing, but some feel very, very different. He has been in some of them with me, being represented physically. But there have been others I could tell my brain was trying to conjure him and I was reflecting myself back at me again, which is very different from knowing he was there. It's impossible to describe the sense difference between a dream in which you are connecting with something larger, assessing real existence in this plane, and a dream in which you are alone with yourself. Locking eyes electrifyingly through surreal and indefinable timeless dreams and startling awake with specific choruses and lines in my head. I now have 7 half-complete songs that I'm filling out when they come. It doesn't feel like I'm writing them, but that they've always been here, like Down a Dark Hall.
Yeah. And it also reminds me of that wonderful movie about the guy waking up in a reality that no one remembers the Beatles.
Yes,
and so he,
I never watched
steals
that,
all their songs.
Wild.
It's so good.
I've never written songs before, just poetry. And even then, it's been so long since I had been inspired. But over and over, I am given these songs that just exist and are given to me. Only 3 times over a year have I actually touched this guy in a dream. I almost know his scent. I can feel his shoulders, the thin t-shirt fabric over his solid being, so different from random sexy dream guys my brain makes up. I know how it feels to flirt and joke with someone I actually feel butterflies for, someone I'm sure I've known forever. I've never, at 28, felt that in waking life, which is why I thought I was aromantic for so long. But what's come to me during all of these experiences has been so strange, I'm really not sure I can phrase it. It's rare and it's real, and only one other dream has struck me with the same sensation as this first experience with him, as I keep calling him. An angel visitation. Although I don't believe in Christian concepts of angels, but there was this same iridescence that can't be seen with eyes. There was a deep, unconditional love, sometimes passionate care for this person, resting inside of me every moment of my life ever since I first saw him in this astral projection experience. I find it easier to try and live up to my potential, knowing that I've met this person that I'm preparing myself to actually meet in this life. It may just be for myself, but that's love and it's healing. Thanks, Cyril. You are a poet, by the way. I felt
I know.
like you just wrote poetry to us.
I know. I feel like I have to sit with this for a while.
It's deep.
Like I feel, yeah. Man. It's like so interesting too, the idea of having the motivation to heal and experience different things, to be at a place where you want to be when you meet this person.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like sometimes you do need that like motivation of like someone else outside of you to get yourself to do something.
Well, I'm also so curious if this person, this man that Cyril has not physically met in like the reality that we exist in right now that you're watching us on, but that they similarly have met Cyril in this astral plane and have been radiating their unconditional love into Cyril's wounds.
Yeah.
And that the two of them have to be doing their work on themselves, healing themselves to then come together and be complete with one another. But at the same time, they're helping each other through it.
Yeah.
Without even being with each other.
Okay, we keep talking about the gateway tapes, but is this not somewhat similar to that one experience where the woman was with this guy in that like plane or whatever, and then when they come out of it and there's like 100 people in the room or whatever, and she sits up and a guy from across the room sits up and it's him and he's looking at her and he's like, oh my God, thank you for that.
And they had the exact same experience?
Yeah. But
and
they
now
didn't
they're
know
dating?
each other.
Yeah.
Ah! Okay, I have a story from Kiki.
Okay.
Kiki,
Do you love me?
An accidental astral projection and a sleep paralysis experience.
Also, I'm so grateful for TikTok for so many reasons. It has like helped me deal with some emotional life things that I've been going through, but also has made stims like so much more acceptable. Like the fact that we just sang that, people used to find annoying, but now I feel like there's this like whole group of people who realize that that's a common thing.
We're just humans, and if something bugs you, mind your own business.
Bug off.
Bug off. Hello, I love listening to you coolie ghoulies so much. I've been listening for I think 4 years now. I don't know why I'm like holding the table like this.
Staying
My
grounded.
emotional support table.
Trying.
I've been listening since your first collab with the Morbid Chicas. Wow. My name is Kiana. She, her. Oh, Kiana, but Kiki.
Ooh,
I like that.
it.
And I have 2 stories that I've been meaning to write for a long time. I'm finally doing it because of your most recent episode about the CIA astral projection documents.
Okay, you all are obsessed with the gateway tapes too.
Oh, yeah.
We all have a problem.
Near the end of the episode, you played the free flow sounds, and it reminded me of my first story, my first and only time that I've astral projected.
Ooh.
I'm 24 now, and I believe I was 16 when I accidentally astral projected. So to set the scene, here's what I vividly remember. I was at home reading a book while I was waiting to leave my house to pick up my friend and give her a ride to work. I love reading, but it's always made me really drowsy. I don't really know why. So it's not unusual that while I'm reading, my eyes start to get really heavy. And I remember looking at the clock and telling myself to just close my eyes for a few minutes, and then I'll get up and I'll go pick up my friend. Now, this is where those free flow sounds you played reminded me of this experience, and I think it helps to answer the reason this even happened. As I'm dozing off, I remember the sound of the refrigerator buzzing getting louder and louder, and then my body started to buzz, and I found myself sitting on the couch adjacent to the one that I was sitting on.
Wait, so your refrigerator buzzing created binaural beats?
I guess so.
Hell yeah, refrigerator.
What's the brand, model?
Yeah. Samsung.
What wattage of outlet did you plug it into?
Samsung's diving into binaural beats.
Yeah. Samsung should rebrand as Samsung. Okay. Because you guys said Samsung.
Samsung.
Because they do their stuff like plays. Like I have a Samsung. Or no, never mind. I think it's an LG. One of those
Isn't
plays
LG
the little...
Samsung? Isn't that the same
Oh, is
thing?
it?
God damn.
Moving on. So Kiki's sitting on the other couch. I looked over and I saw myself sleeping. I didn't know what astral projection was at the time, so I really just felt like maybe I was lucid dreaming, but I've never experienced seeing my own physical body separate from me before.
Yeah.
I started to get anxious, and I remember looking at the clock and seeing that it was almost time for me to leave and thinking, oh shit, I need to wake up now. But I didn't know how to wake up because I felt like my mind was awake, but my physical body was not. And I could hear the buzzing, and I'm starting to freak out a little bit. And the only thing I could think of to wake myself up was, well, slapping myself.
Wait, this is amazing. Astral Kiki was like, I'm going to go slap my physical self.
Slap myself awake.
Love you.
My arms felt so heavy. I didn't know how to move this astral form. So I'm using all of my focus. And then finally I do wake up. So I don't even think the slap even got to happen.
Just thinking about slapping. Work.
Yeah. The buzzing noise had abruptly stopped. My hand was literally up in the air like I was about to slap my face. I looked at the clock and it was the same time as when I was in the astral state. My heart was racing at this point. I was in shock, but also in awe. And I was like, wow, this is really cool, but also how scary. And what the fuck just happened to me? And until this day, I had no idea how to explain why or how this happened. I've attempted to astral project on purpose a couple times since then, but I just cannot get the full body vibration part.
Do the gateway tapes.
And also, this has freaked me out. After listening to your episode today, I believe that the free flow sound was almost identical to the buzzing noise of my refrigerator.
Okay, this is, I feel like a conspiracy is going to start where, you know how they used to say, like, if you played certain records backwards, there was like
someone's
secret
like, help
messages.
me, or like whatever. Yeah.
I feel like this is going to start a conspiracy where Samsung and all of these, you know, home appliance companies are putting sound
Tap
waves
into your higher self
to hypnotize, and it's like chemtrails where they're working with the government and these sounds are keeping us. Actually, this is crazy. I can't remember what podcast it is. It might be Raven Simone's podcast, but they had an episode, and don't fact check me on this, or like,
oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
How the Nazis changed the frequency at which sound was played because, and I don't remember the specific numbers, but the frequency at which they changed it to made people more susceptible to
like messaging. Yeah.
And ever since then, music and everything is played and recorded at this frequency that the Nazis changed it to.
It would be really interesting too to hear like a side-by-side comparison of how music used to be recorded. Because like in my mind, I'm confused at like if we would hear the difference or not.
Right.
Like what is the difference?
Raven was saying that when she was recording her music, she wanted it to be recorded and played at the frequency that it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone, like her producers, were saying that no, it won't sound good to people.
I need to hear this. I need to hear side by side.
It's so weird.
So weird. It's also reminded me of the podcast Wind of Change.
Where
they basically, it's all like the conspiracy about this one song that was kind of like infiltrated the USSR.
Well, isn't the black tapes also about a sound, the mathematical breakdown of sound?
Oh my God. That podcast was ahead of its time. Look at this.
Or maybe we're all
just catching up. Yeah.
This is so trippy.
Okay.
I'm like, I can't.
Kiki, you sent us spiraling.
We've been spiraling all day.
After your episode today, I believe that free flow sound was almost identical to the buzzing noise of my refrigerator. It must have been the right frequency, and maybe the drowsy state that I was reading in put me into the perfect combo to send me out of my body? Who knows? But now, after listening to the telepathy tapes and this episode, I think I want to get back into meditation and see what I can do with my consciousness. And they write consciousness. I think it would be really awesome, but also I'm kind of terrified. So we'll see if I really commit. Story number 2.
I think this is your sign.
This is. We're reading this. That's your sign.
And I'm doing it, so do it with me.
I believe I was 21 at the time of this story. For a little background, my girlfriend's mom lives in a home in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
I had to think about what MN stood for a second. The house is lovely, but has kind of a weird vibe, like you're not alone when you are alone type vibe. I'm not very in tune, so it's hard to explain. Anyways, it's an older house, probably built in the early 1900s. It has 3 levels, the main floor, the top floor, and a basement. One night, my girlfriend was dog sitting for her mom and decided to have some friends stay over. It got a little rowdy. Everyone got pretty drunk. It was tequila night. And I would say by the time I went to bed, I was starting to come down to a buzz level. I think there's 5 rooms on the top floor, so I headed to bed with my boyfriend at the time, and we slept in the room that was my girlfriend's old bedroom. And to describe this room, you walk in, and to the right is the bed, and past the bed is an arched entrance into the bathroom. I'm not sure why, but there's no door to the bathroom, which sucks, because I do like having all entrances closed when I sleep. Side note, I have pretty vivid dreams, and I remember about 60% of them. However, I don't usually enter REM or at least remember any dreams if I've been drinking or partaking in any of the devil's lettuce, which also I did that night right before bed. So the following is unusual. I started to dream about needing to go to the bathroom. In my dream, I get out of bed, I head through the arched entrance into the bathroom, but when I get there, there's a little girl in a Little House on the Prairie type dress. At this point, I was already like, oh, hell no. And she's sitting on the laundry basket in the corner. All of a sudden, my dream turns red, like red-tinted. It flips upside down. The little girl is now telepathically telling me to murder everyone in the house.
Holy shit. This is not where I thought this was going.
Obviously, I'm like, what the fuck, little girl? Hell no. That's some evil shit. So I say nope. I walk away. I started to feel my physical body freeze and get really, really heavy. I was aware that I was slipping into this sort of sleep paralysis state. And I was like, oh no, I do not like this. I do not like this. I'm trying to move. I'm trying to wake up my boyfriend. And finally, I shoot up. I wake up. My heart is racing. I thought, wow, that was a really weird fucking dream. I'd also never felt sleep paralysis before. So that really stuck out to me. Of course, I had to tell my girlfriend the next day. And she replies with, I told you this place is haunted. We laughed it off. But then about a week or two later, we get some coffee with her mom. And she starts telling us a story about when they were digging up the backyard along her fence to bury the electrical for solar panels. The employees ran into something. They called her to come out because they found bones rolled up in a rug. Like, bitch, what? When she said this, my jaw dropped. So my girlfriend and I, of course, are asking her mom all of these questions. Like, okay, well, what kind of bones? Animal bones? And she said that from what they could tell, it was definitely bigger than a dog. And so we ask, did you dig it up? Did you call the cops? Like, this is all kind of crazy. I don't know how many people wrap their pets in rugs and then bury them in the backyard, and also bigger than what kind of dog. So my mom says that they called the non-emergency line, and basically they said they couldn't do anything about it and that it was likely buried in the neighbor's yard, so they couldn't really dig it up either. From what I remember,
They just left it?
they left it, I guess.
This is like when Katie Santry
Found the
the rug. You got to call the police. You have people come investigate.
From what I remember her saying, it was at least 2 feet underground. They couldn't obviously see all of the bones from where they were, so they made the assumption that it must have been bigger than a dog. But I think we're all thinking the same thing right now, right? Like, it's a friggin' body. I guess we may never know. But this leaves me to question if there's energy on the land or in that house that made me have that weird evil dream. I guess that's another thing we'll never know because I refuse to do Ouija. And I really tried to make any kind of contact with those kinds of spooky dark spirits minimal. Thanks for reading. These are literally my only 2 personal experiences of the paranormal kind. However, my now boyfriend's aunt has a bunch, so maybe I'll put together an email with her stories in the future. See y'all on the other side. Love, Kiki.
Well, Kiki, you made a spiral, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I feel like we can know because you know where your girlfriend lived. So we can send someone professional to go investigate and find this body. But I do think
What a mystery.
the experience of seeing the little girl, it turning evil and then feeling sleep paralysis come on does make me think that there was something negative
Mm-hmm.
trying to like instill fear in that moment.
Right. I just kind of can't get over the body in the rug. Because
I
also,
know.
like, rugs aren't the cheapest thing either.
Right. And you're usually not wrapping like a pet in a rug. Like, I feel like,
Yeah, like a whole rug.
yeah, that just embodies like something sus.
Right.
Huh. Who do we call? St. Paul, Minnesota?
I
Police?
guess.
Hey, we have a story from a listener that we know takes place in St. Paul, Minnesota, which we don't know where. We don't know where this house is, but there was a body
But we
in
know
a rug.
Someone named Kiana was 21 at the time.
The house was evil. So that
It
should
got
help.
weird vibes. Like, when you were alone, you didn't actually feel like you were alone. They're like, oh my God, we know exactly what you're talking
exactly
about.
what house in this entire city. Okay.
Dang, y'all are haunted. That we know.
This is making me just like feel even more assured. I really liked that beautiful like closing of your laptop delicately. I just, if you listen to the Patreon bonus that we did end of June, this is actually coming out in July, but I talk about, and at this point, I don't know how many tapes of the Gateway tapes I'll have done, but while we're recording, I just yesterday tried tape 1, and it's making me feel even more reassured that what I experienced is like, I'm on the right track. I'm getting there. And by the time this episode comes out, I'm going to be fucking visiting all of y'all in my astral
Walking
form.
through the side of your bedroom doors.
Be haunting
walls.
you. Yeah.
Creeping down the hallway.
Tiptoe through the window.
Oh. By the tulips. Through the tulips. By the window.
Thank you all for listening. And a special thank you to our editor and producer, Jamie, because I don't know what happened to us today, but sorry. That's all we can say.
Every 12 words we had to re-say.
Yeah. And if you have experiences with astral projection, if you have attempted to use the Gateway tapes and are tapping in, tuning in, please email us. We want to hear all of them because we're on this journey together.
We love you. and we will see you on the other side.